Hi, my name is Sam Price, technical analyst for over 10 years, and I want to break down Bitcoin for you right now. We're going to do our macro technical analysis. We're going to do Bitcoin, total 3, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, the DXY, gold, S&P futures, the Nasdaq futures, and probably a few other charts that'll blow your mind as well to keep you up to date in cryptocurrency. Let's break it down. Let's show you what I see happening in Bitcoin right now on the macro scale. Even right here, I see a shoulder, head, and a right shoulder on the 1 hour. However, we'll see how that plays out. We're getting a little bit of a pump. Can it play out here on a Sunday as we head into that weekly close? Weekly candle close will come tonight. We'll see what happens. We'll see where we go throughout the week. This will cover you for the rest of the week, though. This video is really a good video to see kind of what's happening in the week ahead. We do this every single week, usually on a Friday. Just got postponed, but we're back at it here for you. So looking here at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's likely 3 white soldiers is a bullish sign. You close that candle green, that is a continuation pattern that could continue. I've seen it many times. So right off the bat, the weekly looks interesting. The weekly looks good. And the close right now is absolutely beautiful. If you were to say anywhere we have some type of support or resistance, it's where these 2 candles closed, right there, 89, and even there at about $80,000. Again, people would say, oh, we come back down to support, which was resistance at 7170, but we never revisited this support after impulse. We never revisited this, previous support after impulse. So I think it's unlikely that we come back down to this key area. I'm going to delete those for now. We don't need them. So here we go. And we could start resistance. So where do you stand if you do get a bit of a pullback? Well, we're in price discovery. So at this point, we're still in price discovery. This is similar to a smaller chart on like the 1 minute just ripping. I mean, if you were a 1,000-year-old being, the weekly would look just like the 1 second chart to you. So this is the 1 second chart in my mind. If you don't, you know what I mean? If you can extrapolate where you are in space and time, all the time frames are the same. Bitcoin's in price discovery. If Bitcoin did a little bit of something like this and ended up pumping, that would be like a coin on the 1 second or the 5 minute one day where we say, it can't stop, Anyway, so you'd pull a Fibonacci and take a look here. And it does say, hey, $79,000, $80,000 could be a key level for BTC. I'm looking for the red candle to close here on the 3-day chart. Every time the 3-day candle gets a red close, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. It would tell us we were going to get the pullback. We almost got it there, but no. And there, but no. This candle has 1 day and 11 hours to close. When that candle closes, we're going to know. All right, it's going to tell us what's happening. And it's going to give us that idea there, all right? So if that closes red, we're likely getting a bit of a pullback. We're going to flip on the moving averages. And price action is going to come somewhat back to the 21-day moving average, In very bullish times, the 0.5 tends to hold you down. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do go to the 0.6 and bounce. But we could bounce right there at about 88,000, 87, and maybe even at 92, right? There's your level. There's your, the last level of really support or resistance that we've made is right there at about 92,005. And we'll go to smaller time frames to really dig in here because you have to in price discovery, and it's going to give us a little more insight. But, could we go back to 80? To me, the worst case scenario would be a bounce off that 618 at around $80,000. I'm open-minded to it. I've seen it happen many times. It can't be like, oh, Bitcoin's invincible just because it's Bitcoin. So Bitcoin finally did close a red candle next to a green candle, which like we showed you on that, right there was no good. Right there is no good. Right there, we somehow beat it. But things were extremely crazy for that run up to 100,000. Here the same idea here is the 1 minute, the 21 wants to kind of coax price back to it, and you're seeing like, hey, it's time to probably come back down here, right? So it looks like a week from now when I'm doing my macro analysis, Bitcoin is either sideways or coming further to the downside, right? The smaller time frames may prevail. Something may change, and maybe we do something like this, and we do a nice sideways flag. But because of the distance on the 21, it looks like we're going to kind of start to kind of come down a little bit. Key level I'd be looking at is about 92,000, maybe even 9182. This is the area that I'd look for. We could come here and then even wick down, something like that. So again, I'm not guaranteeing a pullback for sure, but it looks likely to me that Bitcoin is pulling back on the grander scheme of things here. And that's just kind of what I see happening for BTC, all right, on the bigger idea. Watch me throughout the week to see what's happening. This could change, but that's the macro analysis here for Bitcoin. that we're going to have to come back to this 21 on the daily. And, we're going to get a little bit of a pullback here. It could pull back some altcoins. I think some altcoins will still pump. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about today. That brings us to total market cap. The total market cap of all of cryptocurrency. All right. You always want to kind of check on this and see what's happening. Again, we had it in this beautiful, nice flag. The flag broke to the upside. The measured move for this takes us all the way to, 4.3 billion. But we're going to take a look at it on the weekly. We're going to clean it up. We're going to show you what's happening. But this, we're suggesting a bigger move here. And the last time we went over it, I think I was looking at it here in this flag. Yes, this is what I was showing you guys on the macro analysis video. And I'm in this telling you, hey, there's the target for this key area. So a little bit of a pullback right now, though, as you can see. And we're going to break that down and show you it all and kind of see. But so far, we got halfway to the move that we've predicted there that goes to $3.77 trillion. Let's take a look at the weekly and look at our key levels. So, price discovery, we ripped above this level. We ripped above that level. Beautiful, beautiful. A lot, not as far as Bitcoin is away from its all-time high, as you can see. Like, we just kind of breached it and ripped. We're very far away from the 21-day moving average. So it tells us, whenever that happens, we either have to go sideways for a bit or pull back a little bit. Every time you get that distance, it tells me that we definitely have to be careful. Something, you're getting into the extended areas of price action. You're looking in here too, and the same thing here on the 3-day. If that closes bearish, you're looking for some type of pullback, and it looks like the whole market will get a bit of a retracement, and people may start to take some bigger profits out of the market. The daily too as well, same thing as today. It didn't close yesterday red, but today it's threatening to close red, and if it does that, that's a bearish engulfing candle against the next candle there, and you would be looking for some type of pullback. Level we're looking at there, again, is $3 trillion market cap to hold us and get our next big leg. So we're just looking for that little pullback here, maybe, I don't know, 6 to 10 days, maybe less, and then we rocket back up there and start really charging forward into January, and we just blast off, okay? That is the total market cap in all of cryptocurrency. The level you want to see hold is 3 trillion. Then we probably come to 2.83 and then 2.63 if we do see a bigger pullback. Unlikely when you just got a golden cross on the daily. A lot of times you're just starting off with some type of pullback for a bigger move to the upside. You never know, but I've seen that many times. Total 3 is the entire market cap of all of the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Total 3 absolutely took off to the upside, absolutely ripping. Right? Same thing here. If you were back watching us at Total 3, we were looking at these flags breaking to the upside and talking about the measured move of this leg blasting. This didn't get all the way there, but got pretty close and almost hit the $1 trillion market cap. We can't wait to see these altcoins hit 1 trillion. That's going to be absolutely amazing. If you know, I'm called Sammy Cup and Handy. We saw this cup and handle. We talked about it many, many times, right? We went over it so much. We saw the cup and handle on the 3-day chart on the smaller. That's how we knew we were actually entering alt season. And we started loading up on alts down there, right? When we were at $500 billion, and then we got the signal to the upside. It was a beautiful time to be alive. And, we've been buying alts from down here. You guys know. And that's the key of being in the market as long as we do. And streaming live every day for over 1,400 days, you're going to get that move, right? So Total 3 wants to go further up to probably $1.62 trillion. Again, it's going to be some pullback on the way. Nothing goes straight up forever. I've never seen it. That was a pretty good move of attempting to do that, though. So I'm looking at to go to $1.6 trillion. 3-day chart, again, looks like it may get a bit of a pullback. Still green, though. Has not closed a red candle. And then here we are in the daily. So same suggestion here. And again, I have seen uptrending flags that meet up. We could go up. And there's a chance that this doesn't get a pullback and people just keep ripping. And we pull, So I don't know how it's going to go. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. I do know, though, that price action is not going to start ripping, unlikely to rip to the upside. It's going to start kind of finding its way to near or close to this 21-day moving average. So it can kind of start to find a move here on Total 3. So, not the worst, not the best. We're kind of in a holding pattern here. And I do see next week when I'm here, which is today is what, the 24th? So that would be, somewhere around December 1st or something like that. Maybe 31 days in November. I don't know. 30 days in November. So, we'd be there at about December 1st. it looks like we're going to be pulling back somewhere into this region. But hopefully at that point, things will look bullish for the next bigger move to the upside. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. It finally gave way. Beautiful move. We saw it was going to move, but was it going to move as, I didn't know we were going to get that much of an awesome dump. We were saying last week when we were there, right, on the 19th, that we were going to get this kind of somewhere in this area. We were going to break back to the upside. We got the break back up, but beautiful. Rejection at the top of this channel. It was like a rising wedge, and then it broke down beautifully. It looks better on the 1 hour time frame if you can see how that just absolutely took down. And then you see here, look, shoulder, head, right shoulder, bit of an M pattern, losing the 200 MA on the 1 hour time frame. You watch this like a hawk. When that lost the 200 MA, you knew that's like your signal for altcoins to rip. So just like I teach you how to trade the 200 MA on Bitcoin and all these different time frames and all these different assets, same thing here. This gives you a macro analysis of what's happening on the bigger scale of things and how to trade them on that level too, right? So you can see, boom, Bitcoin falling further to the downside right now. So that look, Bitcoin dominance. But look, Adam and Eve double bottom broke back to the upside here. We didn't get this breakdown as we were looking at. We didn't get this amazing continuation. So what happens now? Well, people are going to run into Bitcoin when the market drops a little bit. Why? Because it's going to drop less than their altcoin. Their altcoin could drop 20, 30, maybe 50%. But Bitcoin's only going to drop 10 or, something like that. Maybe 20 at the most. It has corrections like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes a downward flag and maybe we get a push further to the upside here before maybe a bigger rejection. But, watch your altcoins. It looks like we could get a bump in Bitcoin dominance here to the upside. So I'd watch your altcoins on the big, on the bigger scale. Let's take a look at our weekly. And our weekly just, to me, looks like it's going to level out. I don't think we're going to lose much Bitcoin dominance because you're going to gain some if Bitcoin falls back, something like this. And then when Bitcoin gets ready again, it's ready to rip. So Bitcoin dominance just looks like a slight pullback here before another big move. The golden cross, we just got this to cross the 200, the 100. These are all bullish signs of a continuation leg for BTC. We take a look at U.S. Tether dominance. And that also was the real one that you wanted to see take that drop, right? And when you're watching Bitcoin dominance, you also want to see Tether dominance lose that 200 MA. We call that out. We like to see that. I don't think Tether's that enticing right now. I think even DCAing into altcoins, as Bitcoin dumps, there's going to be DCA moments. And then people are going to also grab Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's enticing right now, and so are the altcoins. It's leading me to believe that you may get a pullback, but it's more likely, I believe, this continues sideways. Who knows though, if you watch this and you get a jump in a green candle and this starts to rip back up, you have yourself a bit of a double bottom here, then maybe, wow, we're going to get a really bigger pullback. But if this starts to kind of mill out and go sideways, it gives you an indication that we're just getting a slight pullback for Bitcoin. People are kind of allocating their Tether where they want, and we're going to get that continuation down. So you really want to watch this for the next few weeks here on Tether dominance. We get 2 green candles in the next 2 weeks clean up here. It's going to change kind of, our time frames. So that is Tether dominance and Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the DXY. It's been pumping with Bitcoin. Hasn't really been an adversary recently. They've been pumping together. I see the DXY continuing. Very bullish sign. Donald Trump in office. He's he's strong on the dollar. And it just looks like he'll make the dollar stronger in, many ways around the world. The tariffs alone, the way they're going to use it, just his general economic strategy strengthens the dollar. You can see just speculatively, it's already been playing out over time. I would watch this flag. No guarantees it continues to pump. But, as long as this stays inside this flag like this, the 21, it looks highly likely you'll make a bull flag. And the dollar will continue to pump. And it's kind of doing its own thing right now because it has its own correlations. There will be a chance the dollar dumps, Bitcoin pumps. They will somewhat, but they can pump together. As you can see, they've been pumping together for the last few weeks. Let's take a look at the S&P futures. I got a call on the S&P right now. It's a great time to be on my channel. If you're in, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say and do should be taken as financial advice. But the S&P looks beautiful. Rising wedges break out parabolically. The S&P was, remember, pumping when Bitcoin was kind of, doing nothing. Then it was dumping while Bitcoin was pumping. Now the S&P is kind of ready. The weekly looks really good. All the macros look like we could take a nice move. We took a look at the 3-day chart. It's slightly curving, but it's high or low, bouncing off support. looks absolutely beautiful. I look at the daily with this curve, and the S&P looks like we wake up next week, come up, come down, but eventually, you know, a few weeks from now, it says we're getting a big move here on the S&P. The entry was right there that I gave on the last, week's macro technical analysis. This is in the money right now, and so far it's playing out exactly as we talked about. I see the S&P continuing and breaking out of this rising wedge and headed to $6,800. A lot of people really like those. I'm getting messages. One guy said he longed the S&P last year and it changed his life when he watched the macro. So look at this. Same thing here on the NASDAQ. If you're a nasty NAS player, same idea here. And we talked about it, I think, on the stream the other day. But there's the trade right there, 4-to-1 risk-reward ratio. The entry is even now with the stop loss below 19.8. And this thing looks like it's going to continue to go to the upside. You look at the CME watch tool, and that's telling us that there's probably going to be another rate cut, right? So let me take a look at the CME watch tool and add that in here for your update. That's a big deal. That's going to speculate that we're going to get a move. 24 days now as we head closer to the event. Actually, it's pretty back and forth. Interesting. 52%, though, is that we're going to get the cut. So it's more one way than the other. Wow, it's usually a lot higher, but as we get closer, we'll see how that changes. But I'm still bullish. The TA for me is higher lows, bouncing off support above these high volume nodes, low volume, ready to rock on the stochastics, MACD turning. This all looks really good to me for a move on the NASDAQ to 25,000. And it looks like it could get there by, the beginning of January, first week of January. The only thing about that is it looks like the beginning of the year, we might have to get some type of pullback in the markets because we're going to be over frothy at that point. And let's take a look at our baby gold. Gold right here. Gold, 2,700. Huge rip this week. But, I do see gold slightly cooling off here. All right. It had a nice rip to the upside, though. Wow, the weekly looks interesting. I just want to see, actually the weekly on the 21 tells me that's likely but when the weekly it's the 21 in a macro uptrend, it's likely your bottom. So it tells me you don't see under $2,500 gold probably, maybe ever again, which is kind of crazy. I'd look for this to make a flag and continue out on the weekly. You might have some sideways weeks for gold, but it looks like by March, gold's going to start to make a massive move to the upside all the way into July. And a play on gold looks very, very likely here coming up. Last but not least, I want to take a look at Sol BTC, a trade we always kind of go over here on the channel and show you how Sol BTC just continues to rip against Bitcoin. Sol BTC is just consolidating nicely too. And when what this tells me is there's a big rally coming. When it looked like Bitcoin was going to dump bad and we were going down to 57 in Solana, I kept going to this chart, right? And this chart kept showing me consolidation. And it kind of would give me, it would rest it would give me this probability that I didn't have to worry. Why? Because I said, if we were in a macro downtrend and things were really bad, then this would collapse and they would both dump together. But this kept going sideways, telling me it was brewing, getting ready for something. I was like, what are you getting ready for? Then we had that pump, right? That huge pump. And here you can see again, they're both kind of just going sideways. Fine. Bitcoin goes down to 90,000, whatever. The money flows back into Solana. The Sol Bitcoin trade is strong because that holds both liquidity. It's just kind of bouncing back and forth. And if this stays strong, it means that money's in there. And then eventually, if this has a big move is coming for Sol BTC, then that means Bitcoin has to get a big pump. Because if Bitcoin gets a big pump, Sol gets a big pump. And that's how Sol outperforms Bitcoin. So this chart gives me some indication that we're actually in a really good place for the market. And as long as we hold this, if this starts to lose this trend line into something like that, that's going to change how I feel. But this stays tight like this. It's giving us a secret passage, a secret little message that nobody knows about what's happening to the market. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this macro technical analysis video. I hope you like it. It breaks down everything kind of for the week. We'll be back next Friday to show you this. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And if you came to the channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life.